Susan Gray, born 1957 or 1958, is a British civil servant who in May 2021 became second permanent secretary in the Cabinet Office, reporting to the Minister for the Cabinet Office. Early life and background. Born in North London, Gray is the daughter of Irish immigrants who moved to Tottenham in the early 1950s. Her father was a furniture salesman and her mother a barmaid. She studied at a Catholic state school. Following her father's sudden death in 1975, Gray abandoned her plan of going to university and joined the civil service straight from school. She took a career break in the late 1980s. Described by journalist Sam McBride as strikingly unorthodox, when she ran the Cove Bar, a pub in Newry, a border town in Northern Ireland, during the Troubles, with her husband Bill Conlon, a country singer from Portaferry, County Down. Peter Caldwell, a former special advisor to several ministers, said it had been speculated Gray was a spy at this time. Though Gray denied it, the family returned to London in 1987. She has family connections to Northern Ireland. Career. Cabinet Office. She joined the Cabinet Office in the late 1990s. After previous postings to Health, Transport, and Work and Pensions, she later served in the Cabinet Office as the Director General of the Propriety and Ethics Team 2012 to 2018. And head of the Private Offices Group under the Cabinet Secretary. In her role overseeing ministerial offices and ethics in government, Gray was described as the woman who runs the country. In 2011 she incorrectly advised Michael Gove that conducting government business via private email accounts would make it exempt from transparency laws. In 2012 she ran the Plebgate inquiry inside the Cabinet Office, the reform of non-departmental public bodies, and the investigation into allegations against Damian Green MP relating to his use of computers intended for work purposes. Green was subsequently fired from his cabinet position in January 2018. The Northern Ireland executive announced that Gray would transfer to the Northern Ireland Civil Service as Permanent Secretary of the Department of Finance in the Northern Ireland Executive from May 2018. In April 2018, it was announced that Gray would be replaced at the Cabinet Office by Helen McNamara. In 2020, Gray failed to be appointed as the head of the Northern Ireland Civil Service, and in a subsequent interview with the BBC said, "I suspect people may have thought that I perhaps was too much of a challenger or a disruptor. I am both." In May 2021 Gray returned to Whitehall to become the second permanent secretary in the Cabinet Office. She reported initially to Michael Gove, who was replaced as Cabinet Office Minister in September 2021 by Steve Barclay, and is in charge of policy on the Union and the Constitution. Investigation into alleged gatherings on government premises during COVID restrictions. In December 2021, Gray took over the investigation into the Christmas and other parties and social gatherings that took place at 10 Downing Street during COVID-19 lockdowns. The probe was initially led by Simon Case, the Cabinet Secretary, until he recused himself after it became known that a Christmas 2020 event had been held in his own office. Whether Prime Minister Boris Johnson knew about and participated in the Downing Street parties is part of the investigation. Gray's initial findings were published on 31 January 2022. In the report, Gray condemned a serious failure on Johnson's part to observe the standards of government, and also stated that a string of mass gatherings were difficult to justify, while millions were unable to meet their friends and relatives. Reputation. Gray has been portrayed as relatively unknown but highly influential, and has been described as an enigma. A 2015 profile published by the BBC noted she was notorious for her determination not to leave a document trail, had advised special advisors how to destroy emails through double deletion, and made at least 6 interventions to tell departments to fight disclosures under the Freedom of Information Act. She was described by former Prime Minister Gordon Brown, in his memoir, as someone who could be counted on for wise advice when, as all too regularly happened, mini-crises and crises befell. Rajiv Syal in The Guardian described her as an uncompromising operator. Political journalist Andrew Gimson wrote, "All power to the civil service is her modus operandi. She owes her allegiance to the permanent government and the deep state." Former cabinet minister Oliver Letwin wrote of her, "Unless she agrees, things just don't happen. Cabinet reshuffles, departmental reorganizations, the whole lot. It's all down to Sue Gray." Offices held. References. External links. Sue Gray. Edition of Profile on BBC Radio 4.